What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ninja Report. I'm your host, Pablo, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Brian Schultz. Shout outs to Over the Top. I was watching it the other day. I was like, oh, snap, Over the Top. Decided to watch a little bit of it.
Classic Stallone.
Yeah.
Classics. No,
It was a good movie, yo. I liked it.
people don't appreciate his peak run. I think now it's funny, he's getting this renaissance on Tulsa King, which I think now is the biggest show on Paramount Plus. And it's kind of cool that people are sort of getting to know him in this different light. But I don't think people remember, like, when this guy was Rocky and Rambo, and then, as you said, the stuff he put around it in Cobra and Tango and Cash and Over the Top. Like, this guy was a mega star and not a bad actor.
Yeah. Welcome everybody back to The Void. We talk about the underrated or under-discussed sort of topics that come out throughout the week. We're going to talk a little bit about Blue-Eyed Samurai, Helen Mirren on Bond, Sergeant Rock is looking for their new director, Star Wars situations here with Rogue Squadron and
Got a few more too. I think I got a bunch. There's a lot of little ones this week.
Yeah, some updates on the movie that I'm waiting for, we're waiting for, Dawn of the Jedi. Oh, actually, a couple of other things. Spider-Verse. I think, did we touch on it on Spider-Verse?
Yeah, we just Yep, on that one, the Marvel one. So,
and we also talked about Nanjiani, right? Oh no, or not particularly.
No, we didn't. We also have some tidbit. We also have little tidbits on Daredevil, Highlander, Zack Snyder's new movie. This is like little like one-off stuff to react to.
Let's run through it.
Yeah.
So, Blue-Eyed Samurai season 2 behind-the-scenes clips. What'd you think, Brian? I didn't get a chance to really. I think you sent it to me.
I did. Yeah, it's on Netflix.
I think I was on vacation when I was attempting to watch it. But this is one of the shows that I've been waiting for quite some time, because that first season was just spectacular, and it won an Emmy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, as it should have. So, what you think, Brian?
Cool stuff. I recommend people check it out. It's 2 parts. The first part, it's like a 3.5-4 minute clip. The first half is just interviews with the creator, but there's a clip in there which is neat. It shows the couple of the leads doing motion capture stunt work that becomes the anime, which I don't think I appreciated how much live action work was going on behind the scenes of the show. There's just a quick shot of a couple of them tumbling like in a gym, and then they map it. They just kind of show you, like, this is what you're seeing. You're seeing an actual physical person who's done this motion, and they've animated that into this show, and that gets this. The clip is talking about, you have to find a stunt person who's actually capable of doing kind of like these exaggerated motions that the characters are required to do. I thought that was kind of cool. And then, which I wasn't expecting, there's like not quite a trailer, but there's like a clip. There's like a 60 to 70 second clip at the back end of it. And it whets the appetite, shall we say. It shows our lead scaling the walls of a castle, flaming arrows in the night sky, and she pulls the sword out, and at one point she's cutting some of the arrows out of midair as she's trying to get to her objective. And the cliffhanger is, it shows her kind of getting past all that, and then she's got the sword drawn, and then her face goes to like complete shot, and then they fade to black. So I was like, what does she see?
I would say for the Blue-Eyed Samurai season 2, in order for it to keep me at that excitement level that I was for the first season, one of the things that I thought was so excellently executed, shout outs to Bret the Hitman Hart, was the action sequences. I think they always had something in their extra that made us go, oh, snap. And I think they had to keep that going, because the story is the story, and that, I think, was done excellently as well. But those action sequences also have to hit like they did in the first season.
Yeah, there was an artistry to it. I also love the homage. I mean, this was very much like an homage show. They would kind of work in little Kill Bill, little Matrix. You could sort of see like we're going to tip our cap to some of the greats of action, and then we're going to integrate that into something new and original. And you're right, every one of those was different. I did like in this one, the thing I thought was cool was almost like a first-person shooter's perspective of the flaming arrows coming off the castle. You're seeing the protagonist, like you're over her shoulder. And then as she cuts the arrows out of midair in slow motion, you're kind of seeing it from, I thought, cool, the camera's following the sword. So I was like, I see it. Like, you guys get how to sort of move this around in a way that feels different than your typical animated show. So it was a good little, didn't give anything away, but just sort of reminding you that they're really good at this. And so this is coming in 2026. I will say the only tidbit about this that I am a little quizzical about is apparently season 2 is only 6 episodes. Now, we don't know the length of those episodes, but like Netflix, man, like, what? I hope of all shows you're not cutting purse strings on this show, because everyone likes this show. It did really well, good viewership, won awards. Like, unless it's just story-wise by design, that's what they really want to tell is 6 and not 8. I was a little surprised to see that.
Helen Mirren on Bond. And not only Helen Mirren, Austin Butler recently talking about what Bond should be, who Bond should be. What did Helen Mirren say?
Dame Helen Mirren. I love Helen Mirren's late stage career. I love someone who's been like a thespian and an award-winning actor, and she reaches the kind of the twilight of the career, and she's just like, I'm gonna have fun. I'm good at everything. So I'm going to go be in the Fast and Furious franchise. I'm going to go be, Harrison Ford's wife on the frontier in 1923. Like, I just love the choices because she's never bad and she always seems to be having fun and she's always additive, but she is also very British. And so James Bond is a personal character for her. And she minced no words when talking about Amazon's creative control, which, as we've heard, part of the deal is the actor has to be British from the Commonwealth and he has to be male. And there's been reaction to that restriction. And Helen Mirren just says very succinctly to Saga magazine, quote, I'm such a feminist, but James Bond has to be a guy. You can't have a woman. It doesn't work. James Bond has to be James Bond. Otherwise, it becomes something else, end quote. End of discussion as far as I mean, that's it. Like, I don't need to hear that's it. What is the other? I don't hear the counterpoint to that is none. Like, correct.
There's nothing.
Correct.
It's like if you want to say something, we can't have a conversation.
Not about that particular. Like, you're missing the boat. You're missing the point. And quite honestly, I think what she leaves unsaid, but I think is very important to this in the modernization of it, is even as far back as Sean Connery's portrayal, there is an aspect of James Bond as dinosaur that's critical to the character, right? It's the idea that he is too chauvinist, that he is too discriminatory, that he is too sexist. Like, that
he's flawed, yes.
Features into what makes the character work. And so you're not doing disservice to things like representation or, gender equality. You're actually highlighting those issues by virtue of this character's proclivities. Like, that's the point. Like,
for me, Brian, if I was in the offices and we're having a discussion and somebody says, maybe we should change their ethnicity, maybe we should change their sex, I'd say, please, you need to leave the room now, because that is not a topic of discussion here. Bond is going to be Bond forever. The stories have to change, and that's the point. Is to, but you don't make Bond different, yo. You put him in situations that changes him or enlightens him.
Exactly. You use him as the vehicle, and for the world around him is what changes. And he holds on to some of these ideals that become archaic, right? I mean, that's part of how you actually can get modernization into this. And you actually can do real service, to the viewpoint, but not by, see, the thing is, if you do that, if you do all that, you change all that, then you might as well call it something else, because it's not James Bond. That's the thing. It's not. So
Sergeant Rock.
Yeah, by the way, I don't know if I'll put this in the tidbits thing. Did we talk about that Stephen Knight's writing this? So that actually was a a little tidbit that the creator of Peaky Blinders, very successful,
Okay. I think you mentioned that
award-nominated
before,
show
but
on
yes.
Netflix. Yeah, so Stephen Knight, Peaky Blinders is writing the script to go along with Denis Villeneuve directing this movie. So that is a potent combination. Although, actually, wait, hang
Yes.
on. Here's one thing we didn't talk about. This is
Mhm.
perfect for the void. Remember Jeff Bezos. I know you got everything and you own this and it's your deal. I get it. James Bond and Amazon doesn't happen without you saying yes. But hang on. This report that he needs to have his new wife play a significant role in this Bond movie, yo, that's got to go away.
Oh, that is whack.
Those are one of my I'm out sort of situations. Like if we need to see her, those are one of my I'm out situations right there. I think I'd rather wait till that gets on CW before I see it in a streaming platform. You know what I'm saying?
I read this and I was like, if he intends to make Lauren Sanchez the Stan Lee of Amazon movies and productions, nah.
Make a, I don't know, Money Penny, make her money, but don't make her some.
Oh, we won't do that to Money Penny. Come on. Money Penny's a valuable character. Do not make, let's play this out. So you're telling me Tom Holland as Bond and Lauren Sanchez as Money Penny? We're
That
heading down
doesn't
the
work.
steps.
That
You're heading down the
looks
steps, man. We're down the
cringy.
steps.
That looks cringy. That's what that looks like. Anyway. Sergeant Rock starts his new director search. Who was originally attached?
Luca Guadagnino brought the project to DC with, in theory, the hope of Daniel Craig attached as Sergeant Rock. Totally morphed, right? Like Craig left the project after seemingly souring on Guadagnino. Then the studio soured on Guadagnino, but they did have Colin Farrell lined up to play Sergeant Rock after I think they talked to Jeremy Allen White. And for some reason, even though James Gunn is kind of like, look, we don't move on these until everything's ready, he didn't let this one die on the vine. He actually, there must be something here that they think is worthwhile that they already have in hand, because James Gunn did say, quote, the project is in a pretty good place creatively. We're still moving forward. What would Peter Safran want me to say here? It's still moving forward, but yeah, it wasn't exactly where I wanted it to be creatively, so it needed to change a little bit. But now they're saying they're out searching for a director, implying that they kind of feel like they have it. And what we don't know is Farrell still attached? Like, we don't know if any of that stuff is still true. But it seems like Sergeant Rock will be something we see out of DC. Still, or they're still hoping for that. Not a guarantee, but still hoping for that.
And they're looking as a lead, anyone.
No, they need, I mean, this will rise and fall a lot on that. I mean, I will say it's interesting because you look at like Craig, Allen White, Farrell. Those are three physically different looking, different style actors, but they do all carry the common denominator of the ability to do sort of serious, haggard, soldier type. I think all three of them could do it. They just would look very different, age-wise, personality-wise. Like I said, the idea of this can work. I mean, this sort of like Easy Company, gritty war drama of this sort of, relentless, charismatic leader who's not superpowered, but there's something here. I'm just surprised that they continue to be so forward with this, whereas other stuff seems to be kind of falling by the wayside.
Yeah. If I was casting, I'd be curious. I'd be like, yo, get Gronkowski over here. I want to see him read for this role.
Oh my God.
Rogue Squadron and Dawn of the Jedi updates. What's going on there?
Dawn of the Jedi, they're saying into production and shooting first quarter of 26. That's the latest report there. So that potentially is good news. That would imply we need to get a lot of casting announcements and a lot of sort of public stuff done before that happens. But it seems like Mangold, fresh off of Complete Unknown, this is looking more likely to happen than not, which is good. That's our most exciting thing, I think, on the Star Wars docket. The bigger surprise is that Rogue Squadron, which, as you recall, they actually shot that weird promo with Patty Jenkins getting into an X-Wing at D23 way back when. This was in 2019, I think. I think it was like around the same, it wasn't that long after the Mahershala Ali on stage for Blade announcement that they announced this movie. It was either 2019 or 2020. Then it completely died. Then randomly, Patty Jenkins last year said there was movement on it again. And now comes another report that, in fact, yes, like this thing is back, sort of front burner, like back on track to actually happen.
For me, it's sort of, I think about Rogue Squadron and Starfighter.
You think too similar? We don't know exactly what Starfighter is.
You know, it's Top Gun, Iron Eagle situation. You know what I'm saying? It's just too.
I don't mind it. Do you mind that both of those exist, though?
No, Iron Eagle was one of my
That's what I'm
favorite joints
saying.
growing up.
That was a win for audiences. So.
Choppy!
Oh.
Oh, snap, man.
I think they're different enough that they're both fun, even though they're obviously right. Or they're literally, I think they're literally the same year. I think Top Gun and Iron Eagle are literally about 1986 movies. But yeah, and one's at F-14 and one's at F-16. But yeah, I have to say, I've always been intrigued by this project, the idea of it. I've always been intrigued by the idea of, like, you want to basically do sort of like an Air Force military type movie in Star Wars universe. So you're following, in theory, like the missions of a squadron of X-Wings and like just what they're doing, the bombing runs, the attacks. Like, there's something about that I think is cool. And it reminds me a little bit of that, back in the day, they had that very successful video game series of the X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. They built these games like entirely around just flying. Patty Jenkins, I don't know about, like her, like we've seen all over the map stuff from her. So I don't know. Now she's passionate about this, I think, because her dad was a fighter pilot, I think is the genesis of this. But so whether she's the best director to bring this to life, I don't know. But like, I guess put it this way, like this would never happen. But like, let's say at a point in time, like Steven Spielberg has said, I want to make a movie in Star Wars universe about a group of X-Wing pilots going on a series of missions. Like, that's $1 billion movie. Easy. So there's something about this that I think I'm still interested in. But I just don't know, visually whether this is the right person to kind of make that happen. Because it's not really anything like anything she's done.
I mean, 1984 is the sort of movie that you see and then question whether you should actually go into business with somebody who created that movie.
Oh, Wonder Woman 84? Yeah. Stuff, and it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great. That's the thing, right? You're like, aerials are, like, you see Chris Nolan do aerials in Dunkirk, and you're like, they better be like this. You better be shooting this for IMAX, and I better feel like I'm in the cockpit of the X-Wing hurtling through space. But this Daredevil thing,
Okay.
remember the little bookend of the Daredevil thing, I think we've kind of gotten to the bottom of it, and it's not really a mystery, right? So it's like, we had Charlie Cox say season 2, final season. We have Vincent D'Onofrio say, no, it's going to go beyond that. Then we had Cox walk that back and say his comments were misconstrued. We got a news bit this week saying they're planning for at least 3 seasons. And then we got the only story that matters, which is they said whether or not there's a season 3 will depend on the critical and commercial reception to season 2. We really have to go through all this exercise to get to the obvious, which is no one showed up for season 1, and season 1 was uneven at best. Don't plan for 3 seasons. Don't plan for 4. So you guys fine. You want to map it out? That's great. But you ain't guaranteed anything beyond the one that's already being made right now.
Season 2 would definitely be the true test of, again, are people out of the MCU? Is the fatigue? I'm telling you, because if you want to say, oh, if a team, there was shout outs to the person that said, and I don't want to go on a huge tangent, but shout outs to the person that was talking about comparing the MCU's failures to Golden State Warriors.
Well, I get the analogy, right? I get the like a true dynastic era of elite championship play, and they've been trying to recapture it ever since. And it's with uneven results, right? One extra title in 22, but otherwise they're on the down. They're now on the downside and not as relevant. I mean, I get the general, I think the analogy of it.
Yeah, but falls to listen, when they first set out on this path, I knew that in the back of my brain, the reset was coming. Been talking about it for years. Because you can't continue to do the success that you doing with these characters aging out and not really making it, you know what I'm saying? It happens, yo, where things have to change. They don't always work in this sort of situation. You can't keep on giving me the same thing and think that I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? I come back every once in a while for some Wolfgang, but I don't go every week. I know it's delicious. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going back all the time. The only way you get me to go back is something different, something unique. Because right now we're gonna go into the mutant saga. We're gonna see possibly Iron Man, Captain America. We're gonna get sprinkles of those things and who's playing them or whatever the case may be. But the focus is gonna be the X-Men. I just think that you can't continue doing the same thing as we've been doing with the MCU and think it's gonna work all the time. Watch, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show, but for you guys in the audience, go check out the movies that made us and watch the Die Hard episode. I don't have to say any more after that. After you see it, you're gonna be like, "Yeah, that's what they're doing." And it worked for them, but can they continue doing it? I don't know. And it hasn't worked for them. So things gotta change and some people adjust. It's not like Golden State is playing bad or Golden State bad. It's that everybody else has gotten better and they got much more to contend with. Marvel has been in an island all by themselves pretty much in this genre with nobody to compete with or no one to challenge them, to show their worth. The only people that are there to challenge them is people like us. And as you can tell in the headlines, there are people that have been coming out not against Marvel, but just telling you their experience. And whether it's a positive or negative one, we get to decide, sort of speculate on how this how positive or how negative these things that the people are saying. But the thing is that MCU is still the MCU. There hasn't been a lot of changes. There have been some changes in personnel, Namor leaving and Alonzo leaving, but the same mindset and approach that they've taken with the MCU is still the
I mean, the
same,
Warriors still the same.
and
Yeah,
that
I mean, I
hasn't
get it. I mean, the
changed.
Warriors still have Joe. Like, I mean, Joe like goes ill-fated comment of like we're going to be light years ahead. I mean, that proved to be like that literally was the inflection point to the downside of the franchise. Like when he said that publicly, ever since then they kind of just been another team. And like you can say like they're not bad, but they're pretty mediocre now. I mean, you look at, I mean, not to get basketball discussion, but like if you're laying out the Western Conference for this year, like they're a playing team. Like they're not, they're not that professional, but they still have Steph Curry, right? They still have star players. But I think the thing also with the MCU is like, there's probably a show in here, maybe at some point we'll do it, which is like, what are the fulcrum moments where this thing kind of went off the rails, like the way it did, And I do think when I think about it off the top of my head, there's a few, there's at least one major thing that's completely out of their control, and that's Chadwick Boseman's passing. I still think that's one of the three biggest swing factors in what has happened post Endgame. And they had nothing to do with it. There's a lack of magnetic characters that for audiences to build around and to follow with excitement. And that has led to what Doomsday is, which is this rehash and this cameo fest of big names and familiar faces. But in essence, like if we were to say like power rank the main characters that were supposed to take the torch and bring the MCU forward, Chadwick Boseman is number one. Is anyone disputing that? I mean, he's the top. He would be the top ranked, like in terms of his reception from audiences, excitement from critics about his work, and the character as it was realized on screen. I don't think anyone disputes he would be the number one ranked MCU character post Endgame. It would be him and probably Tom Holland, right? That would be the two. And Holland has done his bit, but only really has done one movie. So
Yeah.
Boseman's passing, I think, is a big component of this that Marvel just, you can't plan. You can't plan for that, right? There's no way to plan for that. But I think,
What do you mean for behind Tom Holland has done one movie?
well, I'm just saying there's been one Spider-Man movie post Endgame. He hasn't been he hasn't
Ah,
shown up in other Marvel
got it.
projects, right? He hasn't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
His
yeah, yeah.
presence in the MCU has been limited to one incredible $2 billion outing. But unlike, you think about Nick Fury or Downey, those characters were sprinkling through the universe, right? And so they haven't used and been able to
Yeah, yeah,
use Holland that way. They can't, contraction.
yeah,
And then
yeah, yeah,
Boseman passes
yeah,
away,
yeah.
so there's no Black Panther at all, no T'Challa at all. So as a starting point, it's like if you want to take the Warriors analogy, it would be like, when Klay Thompson tore his Achilles and ruptured his knee, it'd be like if I took Klay Thompson and Steph Curry away and they both had to retire effectively. That's kind of what this has been for the roster. So
Yeah,
that part I don't totally blame Marvel
yeah.
for. The part though that I think is the more I thought about it, and I heard this come up on one of the Ringer podcasts, and it did really resonate. I think now we did this little thing with Chloe Zhao this week. I think we underrate, when we look back on it, the Shang-Chi Eternals fork in the road. Because, that's one where I wonder, if COVID had never happened, I don't know, if COVID had never happened, and like I said, if Chloe Zhao's budget is 100 million instead of 250, I'm just curious to see what kind of world we're living in. Because, I know you don't love Shang-Chi, but critics loved Shang-Chi, and it made money with a lot of theaters closed. And it's the most classic Marvel movie of sort of that next gen, I think. And they never did anything with it, right? Now we can speculate as to why,
Yeah.
but Shang-Chi has never shown up in any other project. There's never a reference to the character. It's like the movie didn't happen. They did not move forward with the franchise. And then Eternals happens a few months later, and those are original characters. And as you and I always say, there's interesting breadcrumbs there. There's stuff in that movie where you're like, man, you're in the zip code. You didn't hit it.
Yeah.
It's like you
Yeah.
fouled that pitch straight back. You weren't that far off the fastball. And I look at that and I'm like, when those
Yeah.
didn't work, or when Marvel didn't have the confidence in Shang-Chi to fast track that sequel, and then they retreated, and the next things that were on the calendar were, which should have been locks, like Doctor Strange 2, which was box office wise a lot. But then Thor 4, disaster. And it starts to just kind of with the familiar
Crumble,
character.
yeah.
I just wondered that moment of the new characters didn't quite get there, so we didn't follow that thread. We start to turn back to the familiar characters, and people don't really like what they see anymore. And we don't have Chadwick, and we can't use Tom Holland all the time. There's something in that stew that I'm kind of they've never recovered from that sequence.
And just to be clear, my reasoning for not I liked some of it, but my reasoning for not liking Shang-Chi, I don't think Shang-Chi was a true representation of the Shang-Chi character in the comic books because of his abilities. Again, I felt like they were just paying homage to Jackie Chan.
Which is, no, that's people are new to this show. Pablo wanted a homage to Bruce Lee, and they made a homage to Jackie Chan. And that's a take. And they are open about saying that is exactly what they were doing. And for you, that didn't work. For me, I was fine with it. And that's just kind of where we're at. But I still think there is a story to be told about what happened after that movie. Because it was handled differently than any other movie they've ever done. Everyone else got a sequel. Of an individual character launch, it's the only character that never got another shot. To the point where but it clearly was not a falling out with the director because he's directing Brand New Day. Something
Spider-Man, a big IP.
that this character is never mentioned, There's no reference at all to any of the story. And even though he's rumored to be coming back in some capacity, in a cameo capacity in these next couple of movies, it stands out, especially when you realize the movie made one.
Do you think there is something against Simu that he said something that pissed somebody off? Well, I know there was an instance that he said something where somebody was saying about the opening or something. Somebody said something and he went on.
Wasn't it Kevin? Didn't Kevin make a comment that he clapped back at about like, I thought it was. He made a comment about like, oh, our little movie, like we did the best we could. We made some money during tough times. He's like, I think it was Kevin. I think he clapped back at him on social. Because as we know, Simu is, he speak his mind. Like he don't wait. But my point is, that alone would not have stopped them in the past, right? Terrence Howard. Like that would not have stopped them in the past if they had belief in the character and the world. And Destin Cretton was signed to do Shang-Chi 2. And then it just, like Kaiser so
God. That's what I mean. And I'm sorry, if you haven't seen The Usual
30
Suspects,
years, 30-year anniversary. I realize that's a tricky one. You got
There's
Bryan
this-
Singer and Kevin Spacey both prominently involved. That's a tricky one.
there's a dude on the Christian Harloff show. I believe his name is Winston. He's never seen it, and I think they were going to get into a discussion about it, and he was like, "Don't spoil it. I haven't seen it yet."
Oh, he somehow doesn't know. He somehow doesn't know the twist. He's avoided this in pop culture.
So you got to pay to ask a question. If you haven't seen The Usual Suspects in 2 months, I'm spoiling it for you. You're gonna see who it is. You got to, Brian. There's no excuse for
It is not. It isn't, for all, like I said, for all the problems with a couple of the personnel involved, it is an iconic movie. 30-year anniversary, still holds up. I occasionally rewatch it. You can skip, or once you've seen it, you can skip around. But even so, the funny thing is, that is one where even when I know what's going to happen, I'm still riveted by what he's looking at the wall. I'm just like, the first time. It is.
the execution, man. It was the execution of that movie that you're like, oh my God. But anyway,
Well, I'll throw some little ones. We don't even have to react, but we don't talk about the Lord of the Rings IP. I love Ian McKellen. I love old actors that just don't give up anymore. Oh, they're doing this Hunt for Gollum movie that I don't really care about. I love Lord of the Rings, but I don't really care about this. Andy Serkis is directing it. It's some sort of like, I don't know what the time period is. I think it's before Fellowship, but after Hobbit. And Ian McKellen's he's at an event, and he just says, quote, I hear there's going to be another movie set in Middle Earth. It's going to be directed by Gollum, and it's all about Gollum. He's like, and I'll tell you, here's 2 things about the casting. There's a character in the movie called Frodo, and there's a character in the movie called Gandalf. And apart from that, my lips are sealed. So he spilled the beans that like they're in the movie. And I was just like, I love it. I just love it. He doesn't care. He's like, whatever. Then am I supposed to tell people? Don't tell
him
he's like, I'm
anything.
86. He's like, I've done everything there is to do. He's like, I will say what I damn well want to say. And so he lets slip that I guess he and Elijah Wood are coming back to be in this movie. Not interested. It's like, I'm not interested. I think there's a waste of Lord of the Rings IP. I think there's other stuff they could do that'd be far more interesting. Yeah,
a waste of money.
I'll see it for the show, and I'll see it because I love Lord of the Rings, but I have no steam for this. I was just amused by McKellen. And so it made me think, like, because he's in Doomsday. Now I'm officially on alert for, like, will he get ticked off enough, or will he get sort of over it enough at some point to start squawking about what did that movie do?
Could possibly well be, man. Especially if you piss him off.
I don't think he's one of the actors that had a falling out on set that they were talking about. I don't think he's one of them.
Yeah.
I do think he's someone who would, let's put it this way, after the fact, maybe not in the lead up, but after the fact, if that production is as disastrous and troubled as they're making it out to be, whatever his
that's the first interview you're looking for.
Perspective was on it, I have a feeling he might be willing to share a little something because he's seen it all.
Yeah. So let us know what you guys think of everything we've discussed in the Void episode. There's a lot of things to discuss, But please remember to hit that like and subscribe. Share with your friends and comment in the comment section below. And we'll see you next time on the Ninja Report.